Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Today I want to show you one of the essential skills of having a small nursery in your backyard, and that is working with PVC pipe. Now, I have a kind of a water system here. It's very simple in my backyard that's probably 50 feet or so from my house, and I was asked a question by a viewer about how to set this up and what this was. So I want to show you this today, and let's just show you a little bit about how to work with PVC, particularly if you've never done it before, and show you how this is an essential part of having a nursery in your backyard. Now, very simply, all this is this water comes from the faucet at my house, and then I have a pipe that comes from the faucet directly connected to the faucet. I ran it underground, just dug a shallow trench. It comes out of the ground right here, up and over this way, and I connected 3 separate PVC valves here. So I have water here, and water here. I use this one for my water hose that I do 95% of my watering with. This one on the end, I connect it to my mist system where I do my propagation. And this is basically just an extra one if I wanted to fill up a bucket or whatever. I hardly ever use it. So that's all that this is, but it makes kind of a remote watering setup away from the house. And so I can control everything out here, outside of my fence, away from my dog in my nursery. So let me show you how this stuff works. Now I want to show you guys today the very basics of working with PVC pipe. Now, if you're familiar with PVC, there's probably nothing new here for you, but if you've never worked with PVC before, there's just a few things to know that are really basic, but it's just how this stuff works. Now, this is PVC. It stands for polyvinyl chloride or something like that. I think that's it. I have no idea what that means, but that's what the abbreviation PVC actually means. And kind of the most basic understanding of how PVC and all of its fittings work together is just simply a cut and glue system. So it has its own glue, it's a unique formulation, and I'll show you that to show you, give you a good idea how all this stuff fits together. So in the world of PVC, one of the things that you got to do is you always have to cut your pipe, no matter how long of a run of pipe you're doing. If it's all the way across your yard, or if it's just something where you need smaller segments of pipe, you have to cut it. Now, you can cut PVC pipe with a hacksaw just fine. It works great. I prefer to use one of these ratcheting cutter tools. Now, these work well on new pipe, but if your pipe is old, as your pipe gets old, it gets somewhat brittle. And I don't mean where it doesn't work anymore. Just using this type of cutter doesn't work well with old pipe. But just to show you, just kind of a demonstration, it has just a ratcheting action on there. This particular cutter, you can cut pipe, I don't know, 1.5 inches or 2 inches, really large PVC pipe, all the way down to 1/2 inch in size. But you just squeeze it, and this is really easy to squeeze. I'm not squeezing hard. Anybody can do this, but it cuts right through that pipe. Really simple, no problems, and it gives you really a perfect, clean cut ready to be used. And I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes today, but any application, use this ratchet, this type of ratchet tool, and it cuts really, really well. Now, with PVC pipe, you can go to your local hardware store or building supply store, and you can buy this. This is just a sample I just cut off the end, but you can buy this in 5 foot, 10 foot, or you can probably buy it in 20-foot sections, just depending on what your needs are for it. But just for the sake of demonstration, I want to show you how this works. And the way that PVC works is you have to glue your fittings on, and this is just a common primer and glue combination. You can buy these in a package together, and you have to use them both to glue your fittings together. And I want to show you how to take one pipe. So for example, here's one end of a pipe and another end of a pipe. How you glue these two pipes together. You just use a simple coupling. This is a 3/4 inch coupling for a 3/4 inch pipe. And when you do this, chances are that if you do it like me, you're going to get this stuff everywhere. And that's just the way that it works. This stuff drips a lot because it's liquid, but that's just the way that it is. And you take your primer and you clean the end of your pipe that you're going to glue really well. Take a few stripes there and you clean the inside of your coupling. We'll go ahead and do both sides of the coupling. And we'll clean one end that we're going to put in the other side of the coupling. So everything is nice and completely clean and ready to receive glue. Now, I don't know what the chemistry of this glue is, but this glue, this is not just Elmer's glue. This is not just super glue. This glue is actually something more like a chemistry project. And when you put the glue on your pipe, let's just sit that there. And when you put the glue on the inside of your fitting, this actually forms something when you push them together, more like a weld. Give them a little turn. I don't really know if that's necessary. I just know that's what I've always done. And that will set up very firm in just really a matter of seconds. You know, give it a minute, maybe give it a couple of minutes, and that's going to be ready to go. And now we've got primer inside here. We've got primer outside here. So now all we need is glue. Put a little bit of glue inside. Oops. You're going to put a little bit of glue on the outside. You don't have a lot of time on this. This stuff dries really quick. But you've got time to work with it. You just push them together. And just like that, you've taken two pieces of pipe, whether your pipe is in 20-foot sections or just a couple of pieces that are a few inches long like these, and you've linked them together, and that is a permanent bond, and that just is not ever going to break. So this is how you work with these fittings. Now, one thing to understand is there's all kinds of fittings for all kinds of applications. So let me show you what some of those fittings are. Just worth mentioning before I show you some of the other fittings, this glue is somewhat temperature sensitive when it is in storage. I mean, when it's not being in use. So you don't want to store this, you know, out in your garage where it drops down to 20 degrees out there at night, because this stuff in these little jars or cans, whatever you call them, this stuff will turn into something like Jello or jelly or something like that. And if your glue looks like that, don't use it. I have used it like that, and it will not seal your joints correctly. It doesn't work. You need to just buy you some new glue if your glue's gotten old. It needs to be kind of that Elmer's glue, that just carpenter's wood glue kind of glue in color and consistency. Maybe a little bit more liquidy than that, but it doesn't need to be thick and chunky looking at all. Just to show you some of the more common fittings that are used for household projects that are going to be used in your garden, in your nursery. One of those is simply something like a T. So if I were using a T, and I did use a T out there on my setup that I just showed you, I would do something like this. So here would be my main water line coming from the house. You just slip that on there, and then you would glue that on there. Stick that in there, and we'd stick a T in here. And go down, and you put your valve in. Just slip it right in. You see the valve will turn. That's in the on position, and that is in the off position. If you wanted to extend it this way, then you could extend it here, and you can just keep dropping them down. You can just keep going over, or you can put a cap on the end of it like that and just end it. And you just slip that on there and glue it on there. So this PVC has just almost endless ways to use it. So the ways that I use this PVC is obviously to run this main line out into my nursery, but also run it from there over to a couple of sprinklers in different places if on occasion I use sprinklers, and you can use your different fittings to turn those sprinkler heads. Well, they'll go straight up, and you can water in any number of ways. Just, you're only going to be limited by your imagination and how you can use PVC. I use it for my mist setup for my propagation beds. PVC is involved in that. So it's hard to see how you can even have a small nursery without using PVC in some level. So being able to work with this and just knowing these very basics about pipe cutting, glue, and some very basic fittings, and just kind of seeing how all of this works together, it's really an essential skill for the small nursery person. All right, guys, I hope this was helpful to y'all today. Just kind of, again, a basic skill that you need to learn to use in your small nursery, in your backyard, or in the largest nursery anywhere. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all watching, and I'll see you on the next one.